checked with Laurel recently about it. But I do know that it started when Tom Cadwallader wanted to submit a symposium to EPA. And that must have been, the symposium must have been like 1975, something like that. And he wanted to do it on the first three eminent women, Christine Ladd Franklin, Mary Whitney Hopkins, and Marty Flora Washburn. Now, Tom and his wife at the time, Joyce, had been working on Christine Ladd Franklin, and Laurel had just expressed interest in psychology, had just attended Chiron. And so he asked her, with her being at Wellesley, if she would do Calkins. Nobody had done anything with Washburn. But because of Chiron, Tom knew me, and he knew that I was not employed. I had time, and so he called and said, you know, would you do a paper on Margaret Washburn? And I said, well, I don't know a thing about her, but sure, I'll do it. So that's what, it was a symposium that the three of us did. And then the idea was that following that we should collect these papers and submit them for publication. And I don't think I'm too far out of line here to say that Tom just couldn't seem to produce his paper.
Okay.
And Laurel and I were the two that really wanted to get this done. And, you know, we kept prodding Tom, said, send us the paper so we can publish. And he just didn't.
Okay.
And so then she and I said, well, you know, we'll have to do Ladd Franklin. And somewhere along the way there, and I don't remember just how, we became aware that, yes, there were other women. And we had an interest in seeing who they were. And I don't remember exactly how. We came to identify, as we did, the timeline that we would use. But we were both aware of American Men of Science and the starring system. And we were also interested in APA, so records. So what we did basically was then go back through American Men of Science, the first publication in 1906, and pull out all of the women who identified themselves as psychologists by way of their area of research or where they had their degrees. And then we compared that to the APA membership records up to 1906, and that's what we came up with. And it, we worked on it about 10 years, you know, collecting the bit at a time, you know, collecting the information. Yeah.
How would you describe the state of the field of the history of psychology as it pertained to women's place in that history at the time you were formulating?
Basically, there was nothing. There was no interest. And see, we were sort of riding the wave when you hit it right at the good time. Because, no, there was some awareness that these three, and particularly of the two who had been presidents of APA. So occasionally, they would be mentioned here and there. But of course, the women's movement was coming on strong, and so that just helped to support it. What we were interested in doing. Got us a publisher without our having to go looking for one.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. So there was a receptivity to kind of addressing some of the gaps.
There was a woman editor at Columbia University Press, Vicki Rayburn. And I'm not sure she was a psychologist, but she had some background in it. And she came to, it must have been an APA meeting, either EPA or APA, and asked several people whom she said they were interested in doing something on women in psychology. She asked, I think, Mike Sokol and Virginia Sexton and I don't know who else. And each of them knew that we had been collecting material and had been talking about doing a book. So they gave Vicki our names, and she came and said, hey, you want to do it? You know, just write up an outline. So we didn't have to peddle the book, you know, with the prospectus or anything like that. So it was very easy.
And at what point did you kind of make the decision that it would be important to understand women who perhaps didn't achieve eminence?
See, that's the part I don't really remember. But as we identified the group, and then as we started trying to find out who they were and what had happened to them, I think it was at that point that we became aware that some of them were quite different from these who had made a name for themselves. And I think that realization made us aware that, hey, it's really important to look at the whole group and to consider more than just. None of them had really, as far as we tell, a sad story, other than Wooly. She had a bad time. She ended in a sad way. But as best we could tell, the others lived fulfilled lives, but not necessarily a psychologist.
Right,
Right.
right.